Now we're live.
Now we're live. That's way better. We had a little technical issue.
Technical difficulty.
But we're back now.
I haven't tested it.
Really?
It worked on like the regular iPhone camera.
Dang, Facebook Live. Let's just blame it on that.
Oh, we can always blame Facebook. It's fine.
Welcome back. It is Friday nights, and we are doing book chats with Mostly Books.
Yep.
I'm Jody.
I'm Jen.
And yeah, we are excited to talk about tonight's read. It is The 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. This is her debut novel.
We've gone back and forth on that because we just didn't do our research.
But I looked it up this time.
Good.
It really was her debut. And now she's got several
Yeah.
series and what have you. Do you want to give us a synopsis?
Yeah. So how do you say her name? I completely forgot.
The main character? Yene?
Yene? Okay. We looked this up too. So Yene is going to Sky. It's like the capital of the world, basically. As she's been summoned there by her grandfather,
aka the ruler
of the world.
But
they don't say that.
No.
They just anyway. So she's summoned and she's going. It's a long journey from her homeland and her little backwater region of Dar. And she's like, okay, well, going, I can like help Dar politically. I can get this trade embargo that's throttling our country to go away.
Right.
And she's like, and I'll just go. So she goes. Surprise, surprise, she's been named as her grandfather's heir. But there's two other heirs, so that's a battle to the death to see who will be the one true heir.
It's a battle to the death, no less.
Yeah. So while all that's going on, there's also gods in Sky, and they have been enslaved to serve humans, basically.
Specifically the king.
They're walking weapons, essentially. And then, so Yene gets entangled with all these godly politics as well as regular human politics. And then the end just goes off the rails, which we will get there, but not yet.
Oh, yeah, it does. It does. I think my biggest gripe so far about this book is the book,
this is where we're starting.
Jacket. Do you like that? Tells you, it says everything you said, but I feel like it doesn't really capture the essence of this book. It almost makes it feel like it's just going to be like a royal court drama. Yeah. All of it's going to take place in the castle. I mean, there's so much more to this book than I think you get on just the blurb. Like,
the synopsis on the back doesn't tell you anything about the gods, and that's like a very big part of this book.
It's huge.
These are like main characters in this book. It does say gods and mortals on the front, but like gods and mortals, power and love, death and revenge. That's very standard fantasy novel.
Right. And I'll be honest, too, I thought this was going to be way more about her battling it out to become heir.
The court politics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's a part of it. But, oh, my gosh, no. It's, it's so much more wrapped up into the drama with the gods and their politics than anything else.
And, like, the godly politics play into the succession politics. So it's like they are related. It's just... I don't know, I thought this, like, after reading the book, like, I had the same experience of being a little like, that's not what I thought this book was going to be about, and I didn't think it was going to go where it did.
Right.
But I liked where it went. And then looking back at the synopsis, I was like, this isn't the book I read.
And I don't want to say, like, it simplifies it so much, I guess, is my biggest gripe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I felt like when I initially started reading this, I was like, what? This is nothing. Why are we talking about gods? I'm so confused. And I, in some ways, I really wish they'd rewrite it for more of what the book is about, because, like, my expectations were so different than what the book is.
Don't judge a book by its flap copy.
Don't, at all. Oh, my gosh. I'm not sure who wrote this for her, but they should maybe do another one.
So you need to take in cover, flap copy... There's so many ways to judge your books, and you have to like integrate all of them to pick one. It's a whole thing,
right? And then yeah. Okay, so that was my gripe.
Feel better?
I kind of do. Thank you.
Okay.
What did you think of the book? And
I liked it. It was kind of the same different expectations thing. Like going into it, it was like, all right, where are we going? And then like one thing happens. Can I say the thing that happens?
Is it a spoiler thing?
Well, it's a thing that happens, but it's fairly early, so I don't think it's really a spoiler.
I think it's okay then.
Okay, so Nahadath, like, kind of attacks Yene, and
Nahadath is a god.
Nahadath is a god. He's, like, our Lord of Night, god of chaos, kind of like Satan in this world. There's like a god of light, and he's, like, the counterbalancing god of darkness. So he, like, attacks Yene. I think it's, like, her first day there. And
it is her first day
like,
there.
showing her around Sky. Sky is, like, the palace, but this palace is, like, really big. It's kind of a city, too.
Right. Like and, this palace is named Sky, but the city was named something really similar as well. So it was almost confusing. Cause, yeah. Anyway.
So Nahadath attacks Yene. We find out more about, like, why that happens later. But we get that incident, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna, like... this is how this whole novel's gonna go. But then it, like, cools down and takes a different approach. And we get more politics and, like, uncovering secrets before we get, like, violent action again. Yeah. So there's some bits where I was like, wait, where are we going?
Yeah, there are lots of bits where I was like, where are we going?
But I really like the mythology. I really liked how it's written. At times it's non-linear. So I thought that was really cool. Because you kind of, like, piece that together as you go through the story. And I really like the ending.
The ending was really good. I agree with that.
It's so wild.
I found it a little slow in the beginning. Because, like you said, you start off with this big scene with her and Nahadath. And then Nahadath. And then you kind of taper off with all that. And it becomes... I don't want to say I, like, got slogged down into the politics part. But a little bit I did. Just there's so much world building that has to happen in book one. I think that you need to stick with it though, because the end was definitely worth the rest of it, and I'm excited to see where the second book goes.
Yeah.
And I had another thought on what you said. What else did I say? The writing style was the other. There was something else. So I had a love-hate with some of the writing aspects. I don't mind that it was nonlinear. I tend to like things that are a little weird
told
and
in
have
interesting
to be
ways.
Pieced together. Yeah, as we all know. The only thing that, like, initially I really liked that Yene had these asides, because, you know, she's essentially telling us this story.
Yeah.
Later on,
like
years or sometime later, we're not sure when.
Yeah, we have like that, like those like anecdotes, because it starts off with like I don't know my own name or something like that. I am not as I once was.
Yeah.
And then, but then there's also like kind of the present time of her doing things. So yeah.
So initially her asides I really found like kind of funny, but every now and then I was like somewhat annoyed with it as well, because I'm like, just tell me. I think is the issue, you know. I'm like, just tell me what you're forgetting.
It's like, why these don't make sense if they're both you. Why does this make... Yeah.
Right, yeah. So I was having a love-hate with that part. Go ahead.
I liked how the gods were written in this one, because I take issue when if it has like a fantasy novel or has like vampires or fae or some other like mostly human looking creature that's not human, but then they're written basically exactly human.
And except for like one small
except
thing.
for like pointy ears or like fangs or eye color or something, just like some small thing is different. They don't seem monstrous enough to me, and I'm like, they need to like, I don't know, they need to feel not human. Even though it's probably like, oh, they're so human, look how humane they are. It's like,
but they're not.
But they're not.
They're gods.
They're gods. They can't have the same like constructions of like time, age, gender, all these things that we have. Like, that doesn't make sense. So I liked how the gods were written in this, and especially like their dual nature, because they're kind of like chained into human forms, and they complain about that a lot. But
rightly so.
Yeah, but they felt very different from the human characters around them, and like it was intriguing to read because you didn't know if any one moment they could like just go off.
I mean, they are their weapons.
Yeah, so could these grenades explode in their own hands?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I did like how the gods were written.
I really actually liked that part as well, and I loved this whole flipped dynamics of them being enslaved to this human society. I thought that was very interesting, and yet they were very monstrous. Like you said, you never knew really like what was going to set them. I mean, you knew what was supposed to set them off because
Yeah.
only certain people could use the code words and like I guess only certain family members
Can control them.
can control them by
Yeah.
saying like I want you or whatever
Yeah.
the wording was. But at the same time, a part of me was always kind of like just waiting for something to slip.
That's because the gods, they even make a point of like, you have to be very clear in your
Yes.
commands because like, you can't blame them if they find a loophole.
Oh yeah, and they're always looking,
Yeah.
and you can't blame them for that. I would too.
Yeah.
I totally would be doing that too. So yeah, I liked them, and they were complicated in different ways than I think the humans were complicated. So yeah, it was totally different for what we've been reading so far with gods. I think this probably hit the notes you've been looking for.
I did really like, and I really liked it. Like, since finishing the book, how you just kind of like think back on it once in a while, and I'm like, oh, it like I like it. Yeah, I liked it more than I thought initially upon finishing. I was like, oh no, that was really good. That was well done. That was interesting. So it's like stuck with me in that way.
Oh, I think so too. I feel that way as well. And again, I think if this blurb had not set me up for this totally different kind of book, like I really thought we were just going to be battling it out to be the heir, I think I would have really liked it more during the reading experience and not felt like some of it was so sluggish. So I really am blaming the blurb for everything that I had problems with.
Yeah, expectations, they shape how you read it sometimes. And like there's some books that I'll go in, especially if it's like a series or whatever, or like a book I've been waiting to come out. Like I've been like, oh, I've been looking at this book for like 6 months, and then it comes out, I start reading it, and I'm like, I have no idea what this is about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Want to talk about the characters?
Yeah, so should we talk about characters before we go really diving into the end?
Mhm.
Okay. Any specific characters you would like to talk about first?
Should we talk about the gods first? Or
Sure.
Yene first?
Well, let's maybe do Yene since she's our main character.
Mhm.
Any thoughts on her?
I liked her.
I did too, and I know I read a lot of reviews that found her timid, and I never felt like that.
I didn't think she ever felt timid. Like there's points where she like doesn't know how Arameri society is going to work, or how like awful they're going to be to each other.
I think that's totally valid, considering she didn't live there.
She didn't live there. It's like you don't know how this city works. But this city that's also only family members, that's a whole thing. Because the family members get a blood seal, so then they're protected from the gods. So only family members can live in this palace city. And so there's like very distant cousins running around, and that's a whole thing.
It got kind of weird. Like that part was like, like this is keeping your family way too close. That's what I thought.
But no, I liked her, and I liked how we're getting almost like two different versions of her in some of the anecdotes that are like, I'm not as I once was, or like there's like she's looking back on herself from a future time.
Yeah.
So you almost get like two versions of your main character simultaneously, which is fun.
Right. And I was kind of really intrigued about the one we don't really get a lot of, like the one that's in the like future or the current present, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which. I really wanted to know what happened to get her to that point.
And we do find out.
Yes.
It's not like some big secret you have to find out wait till book 2.
Yeah. Well, I think book 2 actually is 10 years later.
Yeah, and it's a different
anyway,
character.
and different characters. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't necessarily get it in book 2 anyway in this world. I also liked Yene. I kind of thought we were also going to be doing more of a like hunt for her mom's murderer. I mean, she was, but I thought that would be more active as well in the plot. And again, they really need to talk up the god stuff more, because that's really the focus, which was really interesting. I don't know why they don't play it up more in the blurbs, because I would have bought that book still. So yeah, I liked her. I thought she was very determined and tenacious, I guess. I don't know. I enjoyed her. She was gonna figure it out.
She's gonna go and get her thing, get what she needed to get done.
And I like that she was like, oh, you guys are all using me as a pawn. Well, I'm gonna flip this and do what I need to do as well.
And she's like, okay, but what do I get for it?
Yeah, I liked that. I mean, obviously there was like, I can't even imagine being in her place, like being summoned.
No, and she's then 19.
Yeah, told this grandfather you've never met wants you to suddenly be an heir. Like that would have just been such a fish out of water. What did you think of her grandfather?
I remember thinking, I'm like, he's way more in on this than he ended up being.
I thought that too.
Which, like, I was surprised that he wasn't, but I was like, okay, that's kind of an interesting twist, because it, like, leads you to think this the whole entire book, and there's no real reason for you to think that it's not him. Like, he did, like, Kenneth is Yene's mother, and it's Descartes' daughter. And she was, like, his, like, favorite.
Oh, yeah.
So he's always, like, speaking highly of Kenneth, and it's, like, you don't trust him. So you're like, okay, you didn't really love your daughter. Like, you were not the first bad dad in a fantasy novel we've run into. So it's like, you don't necessarily believe him, but as, like, it goes on, you don't really have any reason to doubt him on that. So it's
other than her mysterious death.
Yeah, other than her mysterious death, but he's just like, I didn't kill my daughter.
Right.
It's like, sure,
I
you
may
didn't.
have banished her because of her choice of husband.
Oh, yeah, I should mention that. Yeah, so...
That's why they're in Dar.
Yeah, Kenneth marries a Daran nobleman who's, like, much lower in rank than her.
Oh, my gosh. If she's going to take over the world, yes.
Yeah, and she, like, leaves to go live there, and it's a big deal.
Yeah, banished. And then no more trade.
No more trade, yeah.
This is what I think of you, daughter. So I can see why Yene thought her grandfather was going to be more involved than he was as well.
And then he just kind of turns out to be this, like, sad old man.
Yep. I mean, he was not a nice guy.
No, but not, like...
But he's definitely not the baddest of bad dads that we have encountered thus far.
Should have made a ranking. We should have kept track of all the bad dads.
We should make a ranking of them as we continue on. All right, shall we dive into the gods?
Yes.
Is there a specific one you'd like to start with? Do you think we should list them?
I was going to say, like, there's 4 of them.
There's, like, 4 main ones I think that we need to cover.
There's 4 that, like, we get to talk to and have some sort of a personality.
There's one other, but I can't remember her name.
Which ones do you remember?
Okay, I'm gonna slaughter all the names. I apologize. Nadartho.
Nahada.
See,
you call him Naha. They call him Naha.
They do call him Naha. And I feel like you're testing me on names. CA.
Yeah.
Ha. Okay, and the I one. Itempus. And then she starts with an E. Anefa.
Yeah.
See, I know them, I just can't say them.
Then there's Kurue.
Oh, I forgot about him.
And Jacquard.
Yeah.
So Nahada, Ca, Kurue, and Jacquard are the ones like we meet and like get to talk to. And Enefa, there's an extra, you have to like say that E. Anyway, Enefa was...
Well, technically we talk to all of them.
Technically we talk to all of them, but we don't talk to all of them at the same time.
Right.
And we're not talking about the end yet.
Okay. Just saying. Anyway, keep going.
So, Enefa is dead, as far as we know.
Yes.
And she, like, created humans, like, created life, is kind of like our Mother Earth.
Goddess of Twilight.
Goddess of Twilight and Dawn. And she was, like, the betrayer, or she's cast as the betrayer. The Nahadath is, like, our god of darkness. Itempus is our god of light. So those 3 kind of started as, like, a triumvirate of gods. Triumvirate's men, so triad trio of gods.
Yeah.
And then Itempus poisons Enefa, because they're all lovers, basically.
And they were all fighting over
Nahada.
Yeah.
Who is very pretty, by the way. The book makes a point of telling us this.
Are dark and pretty, yep.
Yeah, so he, like, it's kind of petty, but then these gods, they are petty, they are powerful, and, like...
And, you know, in some ways I feel like they get bored.
Yeah.
And they're like, let's stir up some trouble.
Yeah, they aren't always peaceful with each other either.
No.
So, there's that. So that's how Enefa dies. And then Itempus, like, the other gods that sided with her, he, like, consigns them to slavery and makes the humans, like, gives them to the Amari humans and be like, okay, here's your gods. On a leash. On a very short leash.
Right. Yeah, so that's why they're enslaved now.
Yeah, so Itempus is, like, their only reigning god that the people will recognize. So, and that's like familiar Sky Father, God of Light imagery. Yeah.
Yep. Did you have a favorite?
Not really.
I don't really either, but I always like to ask if you do.
I like CA. He's fun.
I like CA. Although at the same time, I was always kind of suspicious of him.
I was a little suspicious of him too, and then I'm like, no, I'm not going to be suspicious of CA. Like, I need someone to be good in this book. Yeah.
Even though he is our trickster god.
He is our trickster god, so
I was always suspicious because of that.
I made a choice.
You're like, I'm just gonna be
I made
okay
a choice
with
with a capital C. Yeah.
Well, that's good. All right. Any other? Do you want to talk about the cousins that you know?
We should talk about the cousins. We haven't mentioned them.
We haven't even mentioned them. The other two that are doing the
other two heirs.
Heirs battling it out. So there's Relayed.
Ralad.
Who is kind of our drunkard. Really. I mean, he was just kind of meh.
No, he's just like, oh, my sister's going,
Samina?
We looked up how to pronounce these things.
Did. In our defense, she said that she just decided to do what she wanted to do with the namings and the language, and that was how that was going to be, whether it worked phonetic or followed any rules.
Semina.
Yep. Semina.
I kept saying it Shimina.
I was doing more of that.
Because it has an SC at the beginning. Anyway.
Anywho.
So the other heir, she's like very ruthless, cruel, brutal, kind of awful.
Yeah. She was awful. I mean, she's the one that sucked, or had Nahadoth attack Yene.
And like tortures him and CA in front of Yene to like get her to be like, why did you mess up my political stuff with Dar? And yeah.
Yeah, she's just bad. Bad.
Yeah. And then Ralad's just kind of like her miserable brother. He's just like, she's going to win. My sister's going to kill me.
Yeah, he just kind of just seemed like he was like folding up and calling it a day.
And I kind of was like waiting for him to like be important in the plot. But he's never really important. Yeah.
I thought, okay, he's really just putting a ruse, and he's really not this drunkard guy. But no, he was.
He's just useless for the whole book. He does like one thing kind of at the end, but even then, it's not like a day saving kind of thing. It's just like a buying time kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, well, you're useless.
Yeah. So they were interesting, and well, mostly the girl made her life complicated.
Yeah.
And hard. Well, and as Ralad said, you know. She knows you love anyone. She will destroy them.
Yeah.
And that included the gods.
That's kind of a power move, though.
It was a power move, man.
But...
Let me show you what I can do. Now back off. This is my palace.
Yeah, but also it's not a fair playing field. So, never mind. That's not good.
No,
so yeah, the heirs aren't great. They're not you don't particularly care about them.
No.
Like Yene and the gods are the most interesting characters.
And you don't really see them that much, to be honest.
Oh, should we talk about Varain?
We probably should talk about Varain. At least we should mention him.
Yeah.
And he was their like scholar.
Their Scribner.
Scribner.
Yeah, so he can like read the gods' language and is kind of their like in-house alchemist.
I was going to say alchemist, so I was headed there. Yes, who was also... Are we allowed to say he was also in love with?
Kenneth?
Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, we can say that. That's not the spoiler I was thinking of. So
no, I didn't want to do that yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah, so he was madly in love with Yene's mom. And I don't... What did you think of... What were your first impressions of him?
Oh, I didn't trust him.
I know. I thought he was slimy, and then, like, as it continues on, I'm like, well, maybe not. I don't know. I had such mixed feelings.
Like, I didn't trust him, but I couldn't, because sometimes he was too helpful, and he'd be giving us, like, warning us or giving us, like, information. I'm like, I don't like you. I don't trust
and
this.
Then, like, he loved her mom, but then was kind of, like, hitting on her at the same time. And
that was weird.
Like, this little pervy dude. That just made me, like, not like him. I think that's why I always found him a little slimy.
Yeah. And just... Yeah, no, I didn't like him.
Yeah, okay. All right, anything you want to cover before we just dive into the end?
I think we did good. I think we're good.
Okay. Let's dive. Spoilers from... We did really good, actually.
Yeah.
We haven't done any spoilers yet. Go us. Spoilers from here.
Big spoilers from here, because the end is just wild.
Yes, so we're letting you turn off.
Yeah, we're giving you a minute.
Okay.
Is that good?
I think that's good.
Okay.
Go for it.
I don't even know where to start.
Right?
Like, Varain is actually Itempus.
What?
Because, which, like, once we revealed that, I was like, oh my god, I should have seen that.
I know, which also then makes sense why he's so slimy.
Yeah, because it's like all the other gods have this human-divine duality to them, like even Anefa, which we'll get there. So it makes sense that Itempus would have one as well, and it's Varain. And it also makes sense why Varain's always hitting on Yaenei,
Yeah.
because Yaenei has 2 souls.
2. I mean, she's not even like a dual personality. It's like 2 souls trapped in
Yeah.
this one body. So it's hers and it's
Anefa.
Anefa's. Yeah.
Because, oh my gosh.
Because Mom decided to make a deal.
Yeah, so, okay. Kenneth runs away with her husband to Dar, and Varain is like heartbroken, and in an attempt to get Kenneth back, he sends this deadly plague after them to kill her husband, thinking like, oh, if her husband dies, she'll come back to me. Kenneth doesn't do that, obviously, and thinks Descartes sent the plague, so then she's just furious at her father, but she's also furious at her father because her father killed her mother.
Did she know that? Yeah, she did know that.
She did know that.
Oh my gosh, that's right. I forgot that she knew that.
Yeah, so she's just very mad. So she asked the gods to save her husband from the plague, and they do.
But they want something.
So, and they want to be free of their bondage. So Kenneth agrees to let them put the remnants of Anefa's soul in her baby.
Her infant child, yep. Which is why Yaenei knows nothing, because she's an infant at this stage.
Yeah.
And then Dad miraculously gets better, and things are great. Until 19 years later, when Mom is mysteriously killed. Should we say who kills her mother? Yes.
Kuvere, one of the gods, kills her mother.
Who I didn't dislike in the beginning.
I didn't either. I did not see that coming.
You just never know.
Okay, so Kuvere of the gods, like, Nahadoth is a bit of a hothead. Ca is, like, generally sweet, but also a trickster.
I never thought it was any of those.
Yeah, Kuvere is, like, their leader, the most level-headed, kind of in charge. Jacques Karn is, like, she's just a very devoted, like, general to Nahadoth. But anyway, you don't expect Kuvere, but Itempus had made her a deal that, like, I will give you your freedom if you, like, prove your loyalty to me. So it was, like, killing Kenneth, and, like, among other things. But it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my gods.
Oh my gods. Okay, so do we want to jump to the part where Varain stabs Yaenei?
Yeah.
Literally in the back.
Yeah, so it's like building up to this succession ritual, which is like the peak of like everything. Everything just kind of comes to a head.
Oh my gosh, totally.
So Varain kills Yaenei.
Literally in the back.
Yeah. And just, oh my god.
And that's when we found out that he was Itempus.
Yeah, and like, and he took Varain's body. Itempus took Varain's body so he could still be near Nahadoth.
And not be discovered.
Yeah, because spying and jealousy and oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean that goes hand in hand in this book. Okay, so Anefa does not. Well, okay.
We barely talked about Anefa, and she's like a big deal.
I know, and Anefa, when they are stabbed, kind of, Anefa basically sacrifices herself and says, because at this point she's trying to kind of get reborn and take over Yaenei, but Yaenei's soul is too ingrained into her body, and essentially, to me at least, Anefa sacrifices herself and says, as long as my essence.
Yeah, she's like, I need to change the world and free these gods. Yeah. But, like, if it's not going to be me, it's going to be you.
It's going to be you.
But Yaenei went into this ritual knowing she was going to die because she agreed with the gods. She's like, okay, I will be your pawn. I know what's going on. I will free you and lose my life in the process, but you have to help me win the succession ritual. Do
you think she was playing him then? Or do you think she actually thought her soul would? Because, I mean, she was so, like, I don't know. Tell me what you think.
I think that, like, she knew everyone was playing her. Mm-hmm. So then, are you still being played if you're going along with it?
Do you think she really thought she was going to die?
I think she thought she was going to die at several points in this book.
I think she also thought about that being an okay option.
Yeah, so it's like, well, I'm going to make my end mean something to me.
And be on my terms.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyway, Anefa and Yaini, like, I guess, like, Yaini's having a whole out-of-body experience while the gods are fighting on the top of this building.
I know, right?
That got a little weird. But then her and Anefa, their souls are, I guess, having this talk, and they come to an agreement of, like, okay, you have to, like, continue my work, basically. Mm-hmm. So, Yaini apotheosis into a god.
Were you surprised that that's how that panned out? I mean, did you think that Anefa was gonna...
I didn't know what they were gonna do, because I'm like, you have two souls in one body. I'm like, that by the end of the book, well, that's not gonna work.
I don't know. They could have shared somehow. I don't know.
I'm just like, something's gonna happen. They might make you a new body. One might win out over the other. I didn't know which way it was gonna go, but I'm like, this isn't gonna last.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is a temporary thing as the vessel.
I was excited that Yaini became a goddess.
Yeah, that was wild.
I'm totally intrigued because she will be at least somewhat in book 2. It's just not one main character.
It seems like the gods, like, kind of left. They're like...
Yeah, she freed them except for Etempus.
Yeah, so Etempus gets his comeuppance.
Karma, yeah.
And he gets the same punishment as Nalhada, so he's, like, chained to humanity now and has less power and kind of just has to wander the world and, like, learn his lesson.
Because I don't really think they didn't leave him as a weapon. They basically were like, you guys need to figure this out on your own. We're out.
Yeah, so the gods are like, you get to figure it out now, and there's no, like, one city family in charge of everything. So they're like, the Amari can, like, keep their power if you can hold on to it.
Yeah, no one takes it from you. That was a fun conversation.
And then the gods dip.
Yeah, they're gone. Okay, parting thoughts?
Oh my gosh, the ending of this book is wild.
Yeah, I mean, reading it, I mean, it all happens in, what, 30 or 50 pages?
I don't know, maybe, something like that.
I mean, it felt like all of a sudden everything was happening at once.
But it's like everything comes to a head, like all these things that didn't make sense throughout the book are just like you get pieces and then like all wraps together very nicely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, Yaini kills Kuvare, by the way.
She had to.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the murder of her mom.
Yeah,
so.
but it's like one sentence in the book.
Yeah, I mean, that was... There's too many other things happening at that point.
Yeah, it's not even like a fight. It's just...
Done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked the end. The end was a wild ride, and it made everything else worth reading. Because when you're like, oh, this is where we're headed.
It ties it all together so nicely.
And so what do you think about the parts with her talking in the future or present?
I like them.
Do you think that... When do you think that was? Do you have a thought on that?
Some of them seemed like right after she like ascends to godhood. Because there's like this... Like, it seems like Yaini and Anefa doesn't seem to know entirely like who she is anymore. And like she hasn't settled into this new identity. So it's like, it seemed like fairly new. But then some of them, she seemed more sure of herself, so I didn't think they were necessarily all from the same one moment.
That makes sense.
So, like, they had a little bit of, like, a little bit of their own timeline, but they didn't cover nearly as much time as other threads.
I could totally see that being the case. Because, yeah, like you said, some points you were like, huh? And other points she was much more clear as to her.
Yeah, or she's, like, saying,
message.
like, oh, there seemed like moments where she was, like, commenting on, like, she had done and be like, oh, I would have known this if I had not done that. Or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just curious.
Yeah. Did you like them or think?
I had love-hate moments with them. In the end, though, I was like, oh, that's what happened. Yeah. That's why she was always like, I'm not sure about my memory. I'm not sure what was happening here. Why didn't I see? Yeah. Yeah, it all made sense. It was just that halfway through the book, I was like, just tell me. What does this mean? Yeah, so I think we would recommend this. I recommend this with the caveat that it is not about really finding the murderer. It is not really about the battle of the heirs. Yeah. It's really about the gods and the humans and the politics there withal.
Yeah, like there's other stuff in it, but it's not. Yeah, it's not really the main point. It's not the most compelling point of the book.
It's not the most compelling part. Yeah. But
I did like it.
You know, and as a debut, I thought this world was incredibly intricate.
I love the mythology. Like, you get little snippets of the mythologies, like some of the narrative threads, and they're very interesting.
We've read a couple debuts now, haven't we? This one and City of Brass. Mm-hmm. was Gods of Jaden's Shadow? Or was that? I'm not sure if that's a debut.
So? I think so.
We read really good debuts.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
We have good taste, according to us.
Yeah, of course. How about that? All right. Any parting thoughts? Otherwise, what are we reading next week?
I want to read the next book in the series.
Mm-hmm.
That's my parting thought.
That's totally valid. Mm-hmm.
Should I do next week?
Yeah.
We're reading Mexican Gothic because I won't shut up about it.
She really won't. And if I don't read it soon, she's going to spoil the whole thing for me.
I've been really good so far.
You have so far.
So, it's by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, and we read her previous book, Gods of Jade and Shadow, and I think we were excited about this one even when we read that one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We were talking about it then.
I have read this one and can say it's very good and very creepy. So I'm excited to read this because I'm excited to have you read it and see what you think of it.
I'm excited to read it because you loved it so much.
I did, because it I started reading it and I think I read it in 2 days or something because I just got to a point where I'm like, it was audio, but I need to read the rest of this right now.
Yeah, I mean, you flew through it. So I think it'll be great.
Yeah. What are we doing special with this book next week?
We're going to do it on Instagram TV instead. IGTV.
IG Live?
IG Live. Is that what they call it?
Well, it's when you go live and then you can put it on the IGTV.
Okay. IG Live. So, yeah. What that means is we will not be on Facebook Live at 5 o'clock. We will be on Facebook later that night, though, in case you don't watch us on Instagram instead.
Yeah. We'll upload the video to Facebook. We won't physically be there like we are now.
We will not be live.
Yeah.
We will be live on Instagram.
Yeah, at
Just
5 p.m.
To spice it up. Mm-hmm. See what happens.
See how it works, see how it goes.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll pick a favorite between the two. We have no
And then the next week we'll be back on Facebook Live.
Yeah. This is an experiment.
If you don't find us next week, that's what's happening. But the video will be uploaded later in the night.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we'll note that through the week, too.
Are we getting copies back in?
Yes, yeah. We'll have copies of Mexican Gothic if you'd like to read it before we totally spoil it, because we will. That's just life.
The audiobook on Libro FM is also good. That's how I listened to it.
Yeah. Narrator was good?
Yeah.
Good.
Reader was good. It was it's one of those... kind of like when you tell ghost stories, because there's lots of creepy stuff in it and you have someone reading you a ghost story a little bit.
Oh, so listen to it with the lights out?
I was coloring. I filled in a whole page and didn't even realize how much time had passed.
Well, that's good. Anyway, yeah. So definitely let us know if you like copies. Otherwise, you can always do Libro FM as well.
Yeah.
And we will see you all next week.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.